모든 건 변했다. 히트 시즌2.
So coming up next, it's going to be Impact versus Hurricane. And I think this one also should be quite close.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Hurricane, he was looking good in last season, last year of Pro League. He was actually like qualifying for GSLs and, you know, getting to around 32s at least. And at the same time, though, for this season, he's really just not had any success. Literally, he's 0-3. Whereas Impact is definitely one of these, you know, these younger, newer players for SKT that they're trying to play a bit more often now.
All right, guys, I believe we are ready now for game number 2, Impact versus Hurricane. Down here in the bottom right, in the orange, it's Impact. In the upper right, in the blue, Hurricane.
Get to see another PvZ on this map. We saw Rogue versus Zest on this map in the second game of Jin versus KT. Rogue was able to take that one, even though Zest was looking in a pretty good spot. He was putting a lot of pressure on the third base, but Rogue just kind of ignored it and then attacked, and Zest's army was totally out of position, and he was able to take the win. I'm sure Impact was watching that game.
Yeah.
And studying just a bit. You know, Rogue is definitely one of the players, one of these Zerg players that's kind of figuring it out. It was him and Dark first, and then Rogue kind of built off of that.
Right.
And just kind of figured out, okay, this is how you play against Protoss nowadays. And now it kind of feels like it's basically only Rogue that's finding success.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's talk about this map for a second, because this is actually, even though this map in a lot of ways looks kind of basic, I think it's actually one of the weird maps that we had in Starcraft 2. And it's weird, especially for the Zerg, because if you just look at, okay, so you see the natural, and then you see the most likely third base, the most logical one, right? Mm-hmm. Now, especially in these spawns, where is the fourth base that you can comfortably take a Zerg? I mean, they're really...
Comfortably take? There is none.
There is none. You'd have to take this base that the probe is drifting through here. Or if you guys could draw your eyes to the mini-map in the bottom left where that Overlord is going over, that would be the only other logical place. Now, it just seems like, to me, Protoss is supposed to just turtle and play... Okay, now, that's interesting. He's taking the less likely one. Now, this may indicate a timing. Because
3-base kind of timing, you know, you want to have your units popping out over there for sure.
It makes for a good rally point. And this is really cool by Impact because, you know, basic StarCraft like 101 knowledge would say that, you know, Zerg doesn't want to take a base that's really close to his opponent, right? Because Zerg is the race that is usually trying to, you know, deflect attacks and blows and tech up and punish the player by having, you know, a good macro game. And there are exceptions to that, obviously, but that's a general rule. So, the fact that he's taking this is interesting. So he's basically going to be playing a different style of Zerg. And we're going to see if Hurricane spots that hatchery and then how Hurricane may make the adjustments in his play. Because if I'm Hurricane, I might just go for a timing myself and try to hit the Zerg because that base is looking very tempting.
I mean, look at how close that is to the Protoss, right? That's generally why you don't expand that way to start. The other thing that this may indicate is that he just wants to get the creep spread over there as far as possible, so it makes it harder for the Protoss to push onto that creep.
That's definitely one factor too. Yeah,
I don't think he got the scout on where Hurricane was when he made that base. So a very interesting location for sure. And
what's going on up here?
Sneaky, beaky little probe.
Well, I assume that's going to be for DTs, right?
That's
You're not going to make a rope
location.
up there. You're not going to make I think if you make a Stargate up there, that I don't know why that you would have just made it in your second base, right? So,
yeah.
Okay, let's see where this goes. We got a few more gates coming up here. What is the tech going to be? Kind of an odd play here. Not that Zerg. I mean, obviously, if you can hide anything from Zerg, it's usually a good thing, right? But But this is sort of like. I think anything that you're going to do aggressive early on, especially for what Zerg's doing, Zerg's supposed to just kind of expect that, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
like, I don't. I don't know.
The other part of this is that Overlord speed is so common nowadays that if you can't ever hide anything in your base anymore.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's always going to get scouted, right? So the only way that you hide tech ever is if you proxy it. And on a map like Frost that is this large and there's so many locations to proxy stuff, I think it's actually a really good build by Hurricane here. I like
it's
it a
interesting.
lot.
So he wants to go for like a DT drop, which is cool. I do wonder, though, I mean, here's the thing, is like, just because Zerg can't see that doesn't mean that what Protoss is doing isn't, like, totally suspicious, right? I mean, these Overlords are flowed in here. They've seen almost no tech. I mean, there are no forges in here. Oh, no! Oh, no.
Oops.
That's why you want to hockey that to something that you won't accidentally tap. That is like, let me tell you something, man. When you do that on a televised match, I mean, you can do it in a game and it's like not the end of the world, but on a TV match, it's like, oh, I got esports butterfingers.
It's just a bit embarrassing, you know, as you say. Yeah. You never want to have that happen, obviously. He is going to regenerate the energy and he's going to be totally fine, but it's just like, I didn't want to show people.
Not like
that
this.
kind of thing, yeah.
Okay, so just to go back to what I was saying, guys, I mean, if you didn't see any forges in that early scout, you didn't see Twilight, you didn't see the DT tech, I mean, the Protoss base is kind of naked, okay? I mean, you should suspect that there's some sort of foul play coming up here. Now, this is odd that he's sending these DTs here.
You know what? This is so good for Impact because there's already a Spore here. He's going to try to focus it down, though.
Oh, you know what? He wasn't quite in position, and there you go.
And there's no lair.
There you go.
He can't make an Overseer. He needs to rely on Spores alone.
And that is unfortunate, but you know what? You know, I was about to say I thought it was kind of an odd play to send that over there, but I guess, you know, if you okay, well, hold on. Here comes the Spore right now. Now, he might be able to actually still get this.
Oh, man, and he's going to warp in 3 more DTs.
God. Okay, so he's actually going to lose this hatch. Now,
there's no way to save that.
Because, you know, Zerk was anticipating the natural getting dropped there, but yeah, they just got in there and they got that key amount of damage off. Ooh. And, you know, that's the thing is when you rely on Spores, man, and you didn't tech up.
He's making 5 drop Overlords. I don't even know, man. I thought he was making. I thought the lair finished and that he was making 5. Yeah, we actually had some kind of
missed something
here.
that happened here. I'm assuming that was just a link drop or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a really interesting results there. What's weird is that he made those drop Overlords over the DTs, right?
Yeah, he essentially showed it to Hurricane already. And this is a really interesting play. He's going basically all in for this. He is making a 3rd hatchery again, but he's so far behind if he wants to play from here.
He's YOLOing this, man. Now, we got to see how many DTs are actually here to defend right now because,
well,
there's still, you know, we have no Overseers in the map.
No, we've got 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, we do have 1. Okay, good correction. So,
but it could be sniped, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's some stalkers. Excuse me. Okay, so there's a decent amount. Now he hallucinated that Archon. That's actually pretty smart because you need these Lings and Banelings to you want them to take it as much as possible. And it looks like they're doing a decent job of that unloading over here now.
The Queen's coming out here, and the Banelings rolling in. The Mothership Core is going to go down, but the Overseer was sniped. He doesn't have an Overseer anymore.
Yeah,
there's DTs here to defend.
Yeah, I mean, the DTs are just, he's never going to win this fight. In fact, he may even tap out. When you think of how much you had to invest in those Overlords to drop over there, and then what you lost in that tech, I mean, oh, God.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too, Taste. Oh, God.
It's actually Zerk down in drones 38 to 54. I mean, what else could... I mean, at this point in time, Protoss just keeps making stuff out of his gateways, and you are a genius. You win the game. This is some straightforward stuff. Now, it does appear that Impact is not going to give up. Sadly, he morphs some Banelings actually within the sight range of an observer.
Yeah, I suppose he feels at this point that maybe if he can get the money hits on some probe lines, something like that, you know, just destroy the economy with one fell swoop.
Can I just say I absolutely love this, the Archon drop here? Because Zerg has been so link dependent, Zealot Archon here can actually like hold this position for quite a while. Yeah, and this does force the Queens to come up here and attack. Wow, and that splash damage wrecking some of those drones. 9 drones killed back there. Transfuse is being burnt out right now. And the Warp Prism can actually come back in here for another Warp It if he wants to. And I think that's it. That's it. Beat me to it. GG. Nicely done by Hurricane.
Hurricane finally getting that win. Nicely done on that map with the DTs coming out. That was a pretty cool build. You know, even though Impact was very safe, if you warp in enough DTs, you can just snipe the score.
I like to play with those Templars of Darkness.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty crazy because, like, even though the drop looked funny, right? Like, you could have walked the DTs there, but because the Zerg is anticipating, you know, he sees a robo coming, right? And he's like, okay, well, something's going to happen here. And if it's a big push coming out, but he can send his Lings up there to deal with that in time. But those DTs just got in there. Only one was killed. The Spore went down. And, I mean, that's kind of like this near checkmate position for Zerg.
Yeah, it's just a really good read by Hurricane for how Zergs like to play that map. You know, just very greedy, get your third bases out and running, and make as many drones as possible, get that lair very late, you know, because you get all the hatchery tech, right? The Overlord speed, you know, the Baneling nest, right? All this stuff that you can do on very low tech as the Zerg, but one thing that you're not going to have is Overseers, and even if you make safe spores, which, imagine he didn't have any spores, it would have been even more bad. It would have been just like game over from the beginning when the DTs came in. But even with the safety spores, he wasn't able to hold his third base. So
yeah, and that's one of those things. It's really about positioning. Like, if you get them in a timing attack, like just right, you win. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, we are going to go to a short break. We come back.